Peace, 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 and welcome to the collision where sports and politics collide. I'm Atan Thomas. My co-hosts Dave and Chuck are not here today, so I am solo, and I have a great guest. So much respect for this brother, and we go way back. I'll let y'all know a little bit. He first reached out to me. You've heard us talk about a lot on this show when I, spoke out when I was playing with the Wizards against the war in Iraq. And after that happened, this brother reached out to me. I didn't know him from there. He didn't know me, but he just reached out to me just as a brother reaching out to another brother. And he was like, hey, you probably have no idea what you just did you? Do you? And I was like, no, what you mean? And he was just, all right. He was like, let me tell you, you don't have to be everything to everybody. There's going to be a lot of people that are upset about what you just said. It was a beautiful speech, everything like that. And I really always appreciated that. So now, these many years later, I'm watching him. He's a human and civil rights activist. He's authored 16 books, Grammy-nominated poet, Newsweek magazine contributing writer, Sirius XM commentator, and guest host. And he has a new film that he is the director, co-writer, co-producer of called When We Free the World. Amazing new film. We're going to talk all about that. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kevin Powell. How are you doing, sir? Oh, you're on mute, though. You got to go off mute.
Okay,
I'm
really ready. I'm ready. I really am
It's
ready.
all good. Okay, all good. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, Mr. Thomas. It's great to see you, brother. And as I said, thank you for your posts on social media and thank you for your beautiful family, your wife and your daughter and your son, man. Just shout out to all of y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, I got two daughters and one son, three kids, and they keep me busy. That's
Oh,
all
it's
I.
three.
Yeah,
That's
it's
right. It's
three of them.
three. Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
My
I got
bad. My
two of
bad.
them are in high school now. One's a freshman, one's a senior, and then Malcolm's in college. They grow up quick. It happens quick, blink
Yes.
of an eye, and they, you know what I mean. I want to
Wow.
go. I want to go right because I want to really take a deep dive into this documentary, and I have
Mm,
the trailer. So if it's okay with
mm.
you, I want to play the trailer, and then we talk about it right there. Mike, could
Yes,
you
sir.
play this the trailer for When We Free the World?
To move and trying to figure out, well, what does healthy manhood look like? And there's all these definitions about manhood. I had to question everything. To ask that question, I have been asking since I was a little boy. What is a man? Manhood is centered around your development as a human being.
Manhood is about a partnership between men.
There's power in building connections with other black men in the community.
I believe that mental health was really about going to see a therapist.
As black men, we don't talk about our pain.
Be strong. Be strong, young man. Be strong. But we never hear words like, heal, young man. Heal.
Just not having a father there made me realize I had to lean on other male figures.
I learned how to be a man by watching my father grieve.
When my father told me about manhood, he taught me through hip hop.
Our job as fathers, as men, is to break that cycle of sickness.
I've learned a lot from my dad as a young man, and he's always taught me to always have courage and be who I am.
I'm inspired by just hearing my kids call me dad.
The world will want to know about black boys my age is that we can do anything.
Hope is something that you have to fight for every day.
Oh yes, I hear my brother, the prolific hip-hop prophetic Kendrick Lamar saying, although life is messed up and jacked up, we gonna be all right. We gonna be all right.
Wow. That was a powerful trailer. Tell us all about how this started, how it came about, what made you want to write this, put this together for the world.
Don't laugh at me, but Beyonce's Lemonade.
Wait, what?
I said, don't laugh at Beyonce's Lemonade.
Really?
It was 10 years ago. And of course, since I've known you, we both have done a lot of work around black males and black male empowerment. So it wasn't Beyonce, but when I saw all the hype with black women around Beyonce's Lemonade 10 years ago, I was like, man, what is this? And what I remember the time was watching it, and I was like, this, first of all, this is beautifully constructed. I loved how we're both poets. I loved how she used poetry throughout, just not just the music. And I remember saying to myself, man, I want to do something like this for black men, and boys. And my idea initially was just a music video, 5 minutes, and then it grew to 10 minutes, and then it became this feature-length documentary. 6 years working on it through COVID, two Trump administrations, which has been insane, as you well know. You talk
Right.
about
Right.
George Floyd and so many other things that have happened to black men over the last 6 years, but we got it done. And I wanted to do something different, brother. And I know you would appreciate this because you are a Renaissance man, which is why I have such great respect for you. You have so many gifts. You know, that you've presented to the world. But a lot of times we don't see black men as the whole human beings that we are. And black boys, you know this and I know this. And so as we were going through mad documentaries about black males, we realized like, you're a former athlete. I'm a huge sports fan, as you know, like, we have the great sports documentaries, we have the
Mhm.
great documentaries about brothers who are entertainers, but then the third category we kept seeing was just us being the victims of racism as if we don't have anything else to talk about. And so we were clear we were not going to do a documentary that ignored the history. I mean, y'all will see it. We talk about, the colonization and enslavement. We talk about segregation. We certainly talk about the lynchings and denying us the right to vote and basic citizenship and all of that. We certainly highlight things like Emmett Till and George Floyd. But you also get 70 black male voices, 5 generations from teenagers to 90 something. You get brothers who are formerly incarcerated, plus 12 brothers who have doctor in front of their names, PhDs. You definitely have brothers who are fathers like yourself, Brother Thomas, you know what I mean? Because as you know, even though I didn't grow up with a father, that narrative is that there's no black fathers there. Brother, one of the things that touches my heart the most when I see folks, social media posts and people like you, is your love of being a father and a husband.
Mm.
That's in our film because a lot of times we don't see that in these documentaries. It's almost like the black fathers ain't no that there are no black fathers at all.
Right.
And so we're not going to present that narrative. So that's what the film is. It was a lot of work, brother, a lot of starting and stopping and fundraising. And I appreciate all the folks, yourself included, who've been supportive. But we wanted to also make an independent film in the spirit of Melvin Van Peebles, Spike Lee when he first started it out, where we had, no one was telling us what to do and how to do it. Because we had some people who suggest stuff to us that was you can imagine.
Yeah, I already know. I already know. I already know.
But it's a love letter to black men. It's a love letter to black males, man. And it's not just a film. We created a study guide that'll be released next year for ages 10 to adults. And there's also a website that'll go live next year, whenwefreetheworld.org, because we wanted to create a clearinghouse of information, resources, and services for Black males. And we intentionally took this year, we've been touring a film around the country. We got to get to the DMV. People have been asking us about the DMV. We will, I promise that. But it's really been
Yeah.
to create these conversations. The recurring theme throughout is what you, Brother Thomas, you've been doing since I've met you. You talk, you express yourself as an artist, as a poet, as a writer, as an author of books, as a media personality. One of the things that struck me about, your career is that you were the person that people came to talk with, you know what I mean? And I think that one of the things I realized working on this film, that so many black men, just like men in general, think that we shouldn't share what we're feeling, what we're going through, and we carry so much stuff around, and you know what happens to us when we don't talk about it. It implodes. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Talk about the healing part, because this is one thing that in circles, sometimes black men are not allowed to be vulnerable, not
Mm.
allowed to express pain or express sadness or heartache. You know what I mean? It's just received differently. We've always had to be the strong, put up the front, everything is okay, we're gonna work it all out. Talk about that aspect of the healing part.
Woo. Well, we go there in the film. I don't want to give away all of the film, but we have brothers who have suffered from all forms of violence, for example, including some brothers who are survivors of childhood sexual assault. Because a lot of times we hear about the girls, but there's boys out there, straight boys out there who've dealt with it well. When we talk about that, we have brothers who talk about the importance of hugs and one brother talks about healing. We have brothers who are therapists in the film, talking about, we can't just bottle this stuff up. We've been told don't cry, toughen up, etc. I mean, when I think about the incredible world of sports, because I think sports is such an important metaphor for all of us who are men who love sports. I mean, I know it's part of my education, my journey. I appreciate people like Dak Prescott, say, for example, the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and other athletes that we've had who've talked about mental health. We talk about that a lot in the film, Brother Thomas. Like, we've got to work on it, but you can't heal if you're not willing to talk about what hurt you. Like for me, example, not growing up with a father, there was a fatherhood hole there. I had to confront that. You know what I mean? I had to confront, the challenges that my mother faced trying to raise a boy child and how she took out some of the stuff on me because she was angry at my father. Those are real things that I had to unpack through the years, through my writing, as you know, through therapy, which I've been very honest about. And I think what my wife has said is I have to shout my wife out because she co-produced and co-wrote this film with me, Evangeline Lawson, that there would be no film without her and her deep love for Black men. I need to say that. That's really important that, she's one of many sisters who loves Black men. But like, we have to create safe spaces and non-judgmental spaces for Black males. That's what you're talking about. And that's how the healing work begins. But if we're going to come in there and just say, this and that about Black men, we just gonna be like, all right, I'm good, and we're not gonna talk. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
100%. 100%. I wanna play this clip that we have. And if you know the NBA player Michael Beasley,
Of
if you're familiar.
course.
So he had a segment, and this is a little bit old. I think this was maybe about 2 years ago, but it always hit me hard when I saw it. And he was on the pivot with Ryan Clark and a whole crew. I want to, Mike. Let's play that, and then we'll go and speak about it. But play this in its entirety. It's a really deep clip, but it goes right with what we're talking about here with your documentary. So let's go to that clip.
Say the only people in your life who haven't stolen from you are your kids. Now that you are an adult, now that at least right now you're out of basketball, are you searching out other people to build adult relationships with, or are you or has everything that's happened in your life been so difficult?
You want me to be real with you?
Yeah.
I don't leave the house. I play basketball and I go home. I don't care what y'all do no more. Like, all I care about is playing basketball all day. I go home and I try to talk to my kids as much as I can. I don't see them as much as I can because I'm not traveling as much no more. I don't know what to expect when I leave this house no more. You know what I'm saying? I don't talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? I've reached out and I've reached out and I've reached out and I've reached out and I've reached out so more that I gotta die with some kind of dignity.
B, that's not sustainable. Like, you too young, bro. That's not sustainable, bro. You can still play ball. So that's not sustainable.
So I can come up here and I can tell you somebody else's life, and I'm willing to do it. Hold on, I'm gonna turn my head backward. I'm gonna put a smile on for you, and I'm gonna I'm gonna.
You don't gotta put nothing on for me.
Or I can just sit back and I'm gonna tell you what it is. Like, I know that's not sustainable, but at the same time, like, what?
Bees, none of us can do it. None of us can do it alone, bro.
Reach out.
Go out.
You have to change,
Go out where?
change the narrative.
Go out where?
Go out, talk to people, interact with people. Like, bro, real talk. I'll call us out. Us three. Bro, you be in Miami?
Y'all party. I don't party, bro.
No. We don't party, bro. I'm talking about you have kids, I have kids. Come to my house. We can get bounce houses for the kids. We can sit back on the porch, drink a couple beers, drink some wine, hang out. Like, bro, that's not a normal, successful man's life to sit up in the house like that. Like, you gotta find good people. And us three can be good people. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's not, that's not sustainable,
like, no
bro.
disrespect to what y'all got going on. I've been trying to find good people for so long. I'm tired, bro.
I would say this. It's a 100%, bro. It's so okay to be tired, though.
I got, you know what I'm saying?
You ain't got nothing left. You ain't got nothing left to give people.
I'll tell you this, bro. I'll be it. Like, whatever you need, dog. Like, if you just want to talk, like, I for sure can't hoop with you. I'll go out there and pass that hole. Like, what we're saying is, bro, like, we want to be those people. Bringing you here wasn't about this. I wanted to talk basketball and hoops. But, dog, folks love you, dog. Nobody want to see you go through this.
I got me a Beasley jersey out the motherfucking house. Because I was down here when he got drafted.
I think the thing is, man, like, so many times as Black men, we are asked because of talent to carry everybody. We are not made to carry everybody. Black women are asked to carry everybody. They are not made to carry everybody. Dog, it takes a fucking village, bro. And at some point, you gotta have somebody who don't need shit from you, who don't want shit from you, who wanna see you win, man. Like, we don't do this for us. Yeah, like you want to build these things, but it's about these conversations. It's about bringing people on here and letting them tell their story. When Freddie said, man, you could tell your narrative, tell that shit and I'll preach it too. What we saying is, man, don't give up and we won't give up.
I can't say I know exactly what you're going through, but I've seen a lot of, I've heard a lot of stories and I've seen a lot of guys that have come from our demographic and our background. They really, you know, they fight. They fight and they bust their ass.
But everybody just sit there and laugh. Like Antoine Walker will go through whatever he go through. Motherfuckers just sit there and make jokes. Allen Iverson was a fucking joke for a while until everybody found out that shit wasn't true. He turned. It's like, bro, no, bro. Being black is so fake right now. It's like motherfuckers only care when it's time for somebody to die and the cameras to show. It's like, bro, motherfuckers is out here showing every day that they need help. It's in the music, and we only listen to it till these die. It's like, bro, everybody out here need help, and everybody walking around this motherfucker like they got it all together.
I want to risk.
That was deep. That was deep. And every time I see it, it hits me. That's like about 2 years old. And when you see the visual of him, Michael Beasley is in tears. Like he is here around the DMV, it was, people remember how nice he was. It was him. He was better than KD. You know what I mean? At the time, they played on the same AAU team. And so him being vulnerable like that, that's not a space that, you heard the pain in his voice. He talked about how people laugh at people when they're vulnerable, people like all those things. And it seems like this is exactly what you're tackling in your film.
Man, I'm trying not to get emotional here, brother, but that I remember that, and it's painful to hear it again. I mean, my first question, if you happen to know Mr. Thomas, is he okay? These 2 years later, do you know where he is by any chance? Is he okay, Michael Beasley?
He's playing ball. He's playing in Ice Cube's Big Three.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
When you see him playing, and I'm connected with him, he's liked a few of my things. We messaged each other a little bit. And when you see him playing, you see him exploding with emotion. Like it's like over the top emotion while he's playing. Just look back at it in the Big Three. That was just this summer. And,
that's right.
And there's so much inside of him. You know what I mean? Pain. Like some of the things that he said, his family members like that have done him wrong, and his friends, and he talked about his like close family, like his parents, like not like cousins and uncles. He talked about like his mama. Like it's heartbreaking to hear, but so many people have that story but suffer in silence.
Let me say this as an activist of God, a long time, a long time. I used to think that if I just rail out against racism and other systems of oppression over time, as I started adding things to the conversation, that was enough. I've been a part of every kind of protest, march, taking over buildings, calling out this person, that person, this system, that system. Those things are necessary and all well and good. But the thing I realize now, brother, at this stage of my life, and because of all the things that I've gone through, very similar. Because I mean, many Black men can identify with Brother Beasley. No matter who you are, no matter what generation you're in, you feel like you're by yourself. We as Black people, specifically for a second, and it's really this whole country, if we don't understand the importance of healing work, like very serious, deep dive healing work, nothing is going to change. This country has never healed because this country's never had real conversations, which is what you eloquently you bring up in your social media posts. You're like, look at this, and why aren't we talking about that? Because we are a country that doesn't want to talk about anything. It doesn't matter if it's Jeffrey Epstein, it could be slavery, no matter what, we don't want to talk about it, which is why you keep seeing negative things happen over and over again. For us as Black people specifically, we know that Africa is the creative civilization. You and I know this because we are readers, we're students, for life. We know that we were kidnapped, stolen from Africa, and that our people were brought to the West Indies, were brought down south, we were brought to Latin America and various places. We also know that did major damage to us spiritually, mentally, in every way possible. We also know that when physical slavery ended be it down south in the West Indies, Brazil, there was no mass therapy session. There was no healing session for Black people. It was just like, all right. But then we had to deal with colonization if we're in the West Indies or Latin America, and segregation in this country. And when you start to think about it like that, it's literally the traumas as we talk about. I've been going to therapy for 30 years, Brother Thomas, and only in the last 10 years or so have I even heard regularly words like trauma and healing and and triggers and things like that. But the reality is, my mama passed things to me that she got from her granddaddy, and he got it from somewhere, and it was just passed along, from generation to generation. So when I'm hearing him speaking, I understand. I'm an only child. I'm a Black man who was told not to cry, that you have to be tough, that you have to man up. And I have felt just like him, like I've been on the island by myself. Forget the 16 books, forget MTV, Vibe, Grammy nomination, all that stuff is irrelevant, because the reality is a lot of my life, I was damaged on the inside because of all the pain that I was carrying around. I mean, it was just 5 years ago, bro. I was going through a second bankruptcy, a divorce, etc. I'm just saying this honestly because you just shared this piece with me. And why did I do this film? I literally made this film in the midst of my own life falling apart yet again in my 50s, not my 30s like Michael Beasley. But the reality was, Kev, you keep dealing with all this external stuff. You keep dealing with your career and these accomplishments you're checking off. But how are you really doing? And that's the question we never ask Black men and Black boys, Mr. Thomas. How are you really doing? And then we get to a point where we're just exploding. And when you're describing, brother, as a poet that you are, how Brother Beasley plays basketball, what made me think of? The brothers in Earth, Wind, and Fire, the clips of jazz musicians who are just banging, playing until they're dripping sweat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that becomes our outlet. Basketball is our outlet. Football is our outlet. Playing that instrument or singing or rapping or doing that poem is our outlet. And we need therapy as well as those outlets, is what I'm trying to say. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the part where in our community, therapy has always been looked upon as, there's been a negative connotation to it. It's just always been.
Yeah.
I remember growing up with it. When you hear somebody in therapy, they're like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" You know what I mean, or something like that. And there's this fear, and I never really understood why it was like that in our community more so than other communities. You know what I mean? Why? I don't know if you've dealt with
I
this
have.
topic. Yeah. Why is therapy such a negative thing in our community?
Well, let me bring it back to the film When We Free the World. We've divided into 9 chapters, and the first chapter is history. The last chapter is hope, and this is all intentional. The history chapter sets it up. One of the things one of the brothers says in the film is that we need to understand these things lie in our DNA. So on those plantations, brother, we couldn't talk about stuff, and I believe that a lot of us that became internalized, and so don't talk about, and don't bring that up. What, leave that alone. You know what I mean? Even when I was, man, early this year, I was in Newark, New Jersey, which there was part of that community that was harboring some of the folks who killed Malcolm X. I'm sitting there on a panel with these folks, and no one brought up the fact that, wait a minute, we're sitting in this community where some of the folks who pulled the trigger were Black hands who were protected by a certain part of the community, and they lived in Newark, and they were actually celebrated as heroes at the end of their life. I brought it up. People looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, yo, do you understand I'm not with insanity. And what we need to understand, what racism and this system has done is normalized insanity, and it also affects us. You know what I mean? It's not just the Epstein's and Trump, it also is us. And I think we have to talk about stuff. And when I say therapy, it's not just me going to my therapist. Like, I'll be on my call with my therapist in a couple of days. But do you have a set of, like, I love those two brothers. I don't know who they were, Brother Time, but that's your circle right there. When I was going through it 5 years ago, man, I had a couple of brothers. Woo, man, one brother said to me, Kev, you can go ahead and give up, but you're going to give a victory. Here, you'll be another victory for racism as a Black man if you just give up. That hit me
Wow.
so hard, bro. You know what I
Wow.
mean? It doesn't matter what level of class you are. I've seen it with wealthy brothers. I've seen it with brothers who are poor. But the common thread is that we think that part of manhood is just not talking about stuff. And our film is, we got to redefine it. I'm a Christian brother, and so I believe in my spiritual work. I go to a wonderful church in Harlem, but even my church, I go there because they have a mental health center as a part of the church, because the pastor's like, I'm not qualified to be a therapist, but we have people who are. And so my work is with y'all spiritually, and here's the work that y'all need to do mentally. That's the solution that we need to think about as Black people.
Wow. Wow. And
Yeah.
I have a small circle of friends from high school.
Yeah.
Z Robin and Scooter. That's my circle.
Yes,
And
sir.
we talk about a lot of things together. Like, like we was younger, we would get together, like, after high school, we said, okay, we're always going to get together at least once a year at least and go kick it. So we go like to Miami. We go to, Memorial Day weekend stuff. But as we started getting older, go to like Vegas, but we would really not even go to be kicking it. We'd sit around the pool and just talk and like just, pour into each other, tell each other, hey man, honestly, you did that wrong. You know what I mean? But if you can't tell that to your homeboy, then they not really your homeboy. Like if your homeboy just cheer everything that you do, you're great, go ahead, that's wonderful. No, you got to be honest, bro. That was a terrible decision that you just made.
Exactly. You know, my wife calls it, brother, who are your accountability partners? You know what I mean? Like my wife and I are each other's accountability partners, but I'm at a point now where I can't have male friends who are not also going to be honest with me, and I can be honest with them without them getting bent out of shape. It makes for a small circle, but it's important to have a circle because I think one of the dangers, this is American men in general, because I've done a lot of research and studying around this as well. Most American men, our friends are just people we have from high school. If we're blessed to go to college like you and I did from college, and they said most American men don't really take on new friends after 25 or 30. You actually have to make a conscious effort to do that. Well, I met you after 25 or 30. I met brother Dave Zion after 25 or 30 because I actually value men. I'm not, you're my peer. Dave is my peer. I'm not threatened by men. I don't define my manhood in terms of ego, competition. You know how we roll, brother. You're like, Kev, if you ask me for something or you need advice about something, I'm like, I got you. Same thing with you and me. But a lot of us, we don't do that because we see it as like, we're in competition with each other. You and I have seen it as poets. You know what I'm saying? You saw it as an athlete. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And I think that's part of the thing too. Like, I have people, but I also know that I need to be able to talk. Like me and Dave, man, me and you, we are able to say, even if we don't talk for a while, we can reach out to each other because there's love and respect there as men. That's what we got to get to. That's what we need to broaden out, I believe, because otherwise what happens is the violence, brother. I mean, in my past lives, I was a drinker. I was abusing my body back in the day, which is why I'm a vegan now. I've been brother Beasley where I'm like, well, I'm just by myself. And you need community. You got to have some, even if it's just two people, you need something that you need someone that's going to be there for you. That's important.
That's real powerful. Real quick, what church you remember of at Harlem?
First Corinthian Baptist Church, brother, Pastor Michael Walren.
Yes, I've done a panel there before. I'm actually going to try to, do something else there with him. I didn't know he was a member of that church.
We premiered the film. I love that church. We premiered When We Free the World all the way back in January at at the church because, he's just brother Walren is a New Yorker. His family's from Barbados, man, he's a deep thinker. He's a Morehouse man, and I also look for people who, when we think about manhood, men who think outside the box. I mean, that's why I reached out to you, brother, all those years ago, man. I was like, man, this is an out of the box thinker. You are in the tradition of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You're in the tradition of Bill Russell. You're in the tradition of Jim Brown. You're in the tradition of Ali. And it's like because you're like, I'm not going to just be what you tell me to be, and that's what we're ultimately saying with the film too. Like, it's like people who look at me like Kev is just hip hop. Like, nah, man, I actually love jazz music, man. I love all kinds of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, but that's the American way to put you in a box. And then it's done particular damage to Black males to think that all we can be is a couple of things. And, man, listen, and I almost said it. I said it to you. You're a Renaissance man, but I realized I was on a radio show earlier today, and the host said it to me. You're a Renaissance man, but I'm like, no. It's like a brother says in our film, brother Thomas. No, we just like to read and we like to think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We want to use we like to use our brains, the whole thing, like all of it.
All of it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, let me just say when you do decide to come to the DMV, I have a lot of places of connections that I could say that
Thank you.
Come to. So let's definitely talk. And I want to support this as much as possible. This is so needed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for putting it together. Thank you for being vulnerable because there's a lot of vulnerability that has to come with doing something like this. So thank you for that. We're going to go to a break. I want to come back and talk about everything that's going on in Jamaica. Everybody knows and have heard about the horrible hurricane that happened, but they don't really know what's going on the grounds. So we're going to come back. Let's go to a quick break, and we'll have Miss Adira, who I have a lot of respect for. And we'll come right back with more of The Collision, where sports and politics collide.